Hi guys, I hope that you are doing well, and in today's video I would like to discuss May 2022, a very dynamic month for all 12 signs, and I am going to be talking about 5 most important events. I don't necessarily purposely do this, like, oh, 5 events and only 5 events. It's just that I try to choose the most important ones, I guess, or the events that may actually make a difference in your life, and discuss them in the forecast. So that's what I'm going to do. The first event, actually I combined 2 events in one. It is Jupiter conjuncting Venus and sextiling Pluto on the 3rd of May. However, Venus and Jupiter conjunction is going to happen on May 1st. So I am going to be talking about it from May 3rd perspective, but keep in mind that one of these aspects, the one with Venus, is happening a little bit earlier and is lingering through May 3rd. The second event that I'm going to be talking about is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio squaring Saturn on 16th of May. The third event, Mercury going retrograde in Gemini, and then it going into Taurus as well on May 10th. Then the fourth event, new moon in Gemini on May 30th. And finally, the fifth event, Jupiter going into Aries on 10th of May. So let's move on to the signs. Hi Aries, I hope that you are doing well. So in this forecast we're going to discuss 5 events that are going to be very important, and the first one is Jupiter conjuncting Venus, and this conjunction sextiling Pluto. This is happening in your 12th and 10th houses, and I did mention in the preview, or I should say in the intro, that the aspect with Venus is happening a little bit earlier, around even, I want to say 30th of April, the 1st of May, okay? But it will still be effective on 3rd of May, okay? So what can we see here? There seems to be this lucky opportunity that may come to you through Jupiter and Venus. And the 12th house is something hidden. It's something that maybe was unknown to you for a long time. So when it does come up, it's this insight, information, you know, something that's almost passed to you through spiritual realms. I know that it does not sound very realistic in our world, but it could be a dream. It could be maybe an opportunity from afar. By the way, since 12th house rules foreign countries, or faraway places, I should say. It could be maybe some message that comes to you through meditation, or in some way it's this lucky strike, lucky circumstances that are playing out for you when you least expect them, you know, because 12th house can really surprise us sometimes, and the energies of the 12th house, they are so limitless, right? And they are so hard to define that it can really be just a lucky strike, and some lucky strike that happens that leads to almost like a status change for you. Now, this is a sextile. It's a very soft energy, so that means that you can grab it and use it to your advantage, right? So it's not quite going to do things for you. It's just a bonus. It will help you. But an insight that comes, right? A message that comes, maybe help from faraway places that comes, can influence your status, your reputation, or even your career. In the beginning of May, very prominently, it could be maybe you finally being able to gain control over your career, gain control over your status, and that somehow comes through some sort of hidden realm, hidden energy. Obviously, if you're not receiving any kind of spiritual messages, then it could just be information that comes to light. Simply information that was hidden from you before, now it comes to light, now you're working with it. So this is how I would interpret, you know, this is my take on what is happening here in the beginning of May. Now, the second event that I would like to talk about is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 8th house, and it is squaring Saturn in your 11th house on May 16th. So, this one is interesting. There seems to be something completing regarding a financial situation, regarding a financial deal. It could be the deal that you've been waiting for a long time. It could be to sell a property. It could be to buy a property, to refinance a property. but at the same time, it's ending. Yes, it's finally ending, but it's been such a bumpy road. And there could be this one last bump that you have to go over to finally complete it. Good news is that it is completing. It is, and it's been possibly completing for the last 6 months with all these bumps and obstacles, and it was just so frustrating. You know, Saturn is kind of like one step forward, 2 steps back, a lot of times, especially with a square. So it can make us feel very drained, exhausted, and almost helpless in certain situations, because no matter how much we try, we have a hard time achieving something, right, under the control of Saturn. So here we've got something completing in the financial sector, right? Some kind of a financial deal. Maybe you're refinancing something. But at the same time, through a bump, through a challenge, you know, it's frustrating, but yet it's ending, so that's good. It could also be something that comes up in the house of crisis, by the way. You know, 8th house can be interpreted as a house of crisis. Something comes up, a situation that you finally may be resolving, but it does not quite align with what you would like to get out of it. It's like, yes, it's over, yes, it's ending, but not quite in the way that you maybe hoped for, like the best outcome that you hoped for, right? Or it ends, but through a challenge. There is a certain part of your life that is experiencing crisis. So you can finally make those steps towards closing this issue, closing this deal, closing this financial struggle potentially. But it has not been an easy road, and Saturn again will remind you that, yeah, I've been making it difficult for you and I'm still here, you know. So while you will be able to complete it, it might be a little bit of a bumpy road. Now the third event, I'm leaving the sweetest event for last, for dessert. So Mercury is going retrograde in Gemini, right, on May 10th. And it is going to retrograde from Gemini to Taurus as well, all in 1 month. It is going to happen in your 3rd house, and it will be going into your 2nd house. So I would say, you know, 3rd house is such a traditional house for Mercury retrograde to happen anyway, because Gemini rules it, and rules it for you as well if you're Aries rising. So what can I say here? You know, yes, maybe some technical issues, right? Wi-Fi not quite working. You thought you sent the document, but the person never received that document. You have to send it again. You know, miscommunication with others, possibly some misunderstanding when it comes to certain course, certain documentation. Make sure you read everything. Make sure that you're very careful when you look at the documents, because when Mercury does go into your 2nd house, it could cost you. Okay, so something that you can make a mistake with regarding your documents, for example, regarding education, regarding a message to someone, that can cost you. Can be literally money, right? Or it could kind of influence your self-esteem even in a way, if you misunderstand something but yet you still go with it. So just try to slow down, try to analyze everything very well. Do not rush with anything that you are doing. Now, and that actually counts throughout the whole month of May, okay? Now, the 4th event that the 4th event that I would like to talk about is a new moon in Gemini in your 3rd house on May 30th. And that is a nice one, because for you, this could be a document that comes around finally that you've been waiting for. And it seems to be like a new chapter, a new step forward, you know, a document that will help you in the future. It's not a document that's going to help you fulfill something that you already have been working on, right? Or kind of complete something in your life. No, it's something new. It's like a new pass. A pass to travel, a pass to, I don't know, but, you know, treat it as some kind of a paper that may be coming around that is opening new doors for you. Also, you could be taking a new course around this time as well. And now for dessert, we're going to have Jupiter going into your sign, guys, on May 10th in your first house, and it's going to stay in your sign until October, the end of October 2022. So I will say this, a wonderful time. You know, I am a Pisces rising, and currently Jupiter is in my first house, and I can say that the least what you can experience with this is optimism and hope for the future. You know, life may not magically become amazing, become obstacle free, become the spiritual heaven, amazing, you know, cloud nine, whatever you want to call it. No, you'll still have your issues, you'll still have certain things that you're struggling with, but you will have so much optimism at the same time. And yes, you will be blessed, you know, because Jupiter likes to be in fire signs. Jupiter will bless you. Jupiter will bless every area of your life. I got engaged during my Jupiter transit in the first house. I started a new career path in my first house. I have got rid of a lot of debt in my first house. Yeah, so it's like, you know, a lot of things are pleasant. You know, can I say that my health is at its best? Not so much. You know, like there are still things that I'm fighting through. So just to keep in mind, right, this is going to be a blessing. It's going to be a period of time full of optimism and hope for the future. And yes, things will become easier, but obviously this isn't an all-solving type of transit. However, it'll help you. It'll help you, it'll guide you, and it'll feel good. It'll feel good starting May. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Taurus. Hi Taurus, so happy birthday. I am a Taurus as well. I have Sun in Taurus. My birthday is on May 12th. So congratulations to you, happy birthday, and I hope that you spend this month in a great way. You are the stars of the show. You know, there will be an eclipse happening in your sign on the 30th of April, and your energy will be very strong throughout the month. But let's start with the 5 events that I would like to talk to you about. And the first one is, it is a series of events, okay? So they start even in April, but I do want to say May 1st for the sake of this forecast, the May forecast. Jupiter conjuncting Venus, and they both will be sextiling Pluto, okay? On May 3rd, it will be exact. So 11th house and 9th house are present here. And I will say this, Jupiter and Venus, when they conjunct each other, that is beautiful energy of blessings and things coming to you easier. There seems to be a major gift coming your way from the 11th house, and you know, it could be a gift from a friend, it could be a gift from a community, a group, or it could just be a reward of some kind. You know, you worked hard, life has been difficult for the last couple of years, and here we go. You know, you're receiving a reward here. It could be a financial reward since Venus is here. It could be a luxurious gift as well. And it aligns with your goals. It aligns with how you see your life, with just overall how you see your future. And it is sextiling Pluto in the 9th house. So this gift, this reward, this kindness and love and support from potentially community, or maybe even your job that's coming your way, that is opening some doors for you as well into a more distant future. It's like you're starting to see a fuller picture. You're starting to see it not so blurry anymore, right? You're able to see the outlines of things. And with 9th house, you know, this is a sextile, so it's not very strong, but you gotta use it to your advantage. And Pluto adds a sense of control. Control over your future, control over your legal situation, control over your potentially immigration, right, or travel overall. There is hope seen here, optimism seen here, and you're going to use it. Also, if you would like to, let's say, go back to school, there may be an opportunity that comes from the 11th house, from the community, from an acquaintance or a friend, from just your rewards, what you worked hard for and what you received as a result. you're able to use that to manifest something in the 9th house, right? Like education, maybe going back to school, traveling, completing a legal case, and so on. So the beginning of May is going to be a blessing, honestly. Yeah. Now, the second event that I would like to talk about is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 7th house, and it's going to be squaring Saturn in your 10th house on May 16th. So 7th house and 10th house. So something is completing here when it comes to negotiations, and it could be you negotiating your career path with the higher ups, right? It could be maybe you asking a boss for a raise. Maybe it could be finally something coming around, you know, finally something completing. Could be a difficult work project, could be a deal that's been dragging for the last 6 months potentially. But something here is finally ending, and you're able to take a breather. At the same time, you know, with Saturn in the 10th, it's like, wow, this is hard, and this has been a very difficult journey. And Saturn, I don't think that Saturn is going to really bother you in a negative way, you know. I mean, why would it bother you in a positive way? You know, it's not going to necessarily create chaos around the lunar eclipse, but it's going to emphasize, it's going to outline, it's going to underline, I mean, pinpoint how difficult this process has been. And you know, Scorpio is all for the depth, for the extremes, and it's like, do I even need this status change? Do I even need this career opportunity? Do I even want this? Do I want to be around this? Because it seems so hard, it seems so difficult. These could be the thoughts that may potentially come up around this eclipse. However, something here will complete for you, maybe in a challenging way, like you've been going through a challenge, you know, like I said in the previous reading, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's the energy of Saturn. And it seems like it's almost, there's no end to this, but there will be an end to this. Good news is something is finally ending here. Okay, maybe another bump on the road, who knows, but it'll end, which is nice. If let's say you have a personal relationship that you're currently struggling with, yes, things can come up, things can be resolved, things can also be even moved on to the next level. Depends on how your relationship is with who, right? Who you're dealing with. But Saturn in the 10th, that's like, it's all done just so you can finally feel important. Not that you will be important, because you are. You need to feel important. And Saturn pushes you to the edge, right? Saturn gets you out of your comfort zone, so you can actually feel that importance, so you know exactly how to use it right. I feel like it is about that public image, right? That's seen by everybody, that's judged by everybody, but at the same time, I feel like you are your biggest judge here, and you will realize a lot of things about yourself, a lot of things about your image once this eclipse happens. The third event that I would like to talk about is Mercury going retrograde in Gemini, and then it goes into your sign. It retrogrades into your sign on May 10th. 2nd house and 1st house are going to be involved. So I would say this: be careful with how you spend, be careful with what you do with your finances overall, because it can kind of backfire. When Mercury goes retrograde from the 2nd into the 1st house, there may seem to be a very direct, very honest, and very unpleasant reevaluation of your values, your self-esteem, what you're even doing in this life, that type of thing. You know, you may start kind of digging. Also, it could raise some eyebrows from your community, from your friends, from your family, whoever you're dealing with on the daily. They may find a problem with your finances, or with how you treat yourself, or with what you value, you know. But overall, I think that self-esteem could be a big thing, because there is a public image that you're trying to keep up with, and then there is also this personal, you know, that identity that you're only dealing with one-on-one, just you and and yourself. And it's like a battle going on here. You know, you wanna be equal in both public and private, and you want to be accepted by yourself and by others as well. So it's kind of a battle going on here. And you know, second house is our values and our self-esteem, and the first house is our personality, individuality, just us, you know, our essence in a way. And I feel like you could question a lot of things here. However, you know, I think a lot of it needs to be done through communication with the people that you trust, people that you love. You know, communicate, talk it out. Obviously, don't talk to everybody about your problems, because you know who you need to trust, right? But talk your issues out. Maybe find someone to talk to that can really give you good advice, you know, genuine advice. I think that there should be no problem here. Now, the fourth event is new moon in Gemini on 30th of May in your second house, and this is where interesting things start happening with your values and with your self-esteem. It's like there's something new that you're gonna have your eye on, and you would love to make it come to fruition somehow. You could start at the very end of May to work on certain things, and you could continue working on them until, well, 6 months from May 30th, right? So that could be a pretty long timeline, but there is something that is a very brilliant idea, something that can either allow you to learn a new skill, or, you know, create a new source of income, and you will be working on that for the next 6 months. So that's nice. And the last event, the dessert, Jupiter is going into Aries on May 10th to your 12th house, and it will be there until late October 2022. So when Jupiter goes into the 12th house, I just had that transit happen last year. It really expands your spiritual view of life, you know, I think that I became so sensitive and such a, well, first of all, you know, postpartum makes you that way, hormones make you feel that way. I think overall motherhood makes you feel vulnerable and compassionate, and you know, you see everything, you cry, you're very soft, right? I've never been that way before, by the way. And I feel like Jupiter in the 12th gave me more of that as well, gave me more compassion, gave me more almost like feeling how the world feels, you know, feeling every soul, not exactly like literally, right? But I think you know what I'm trying to say, like not fully, but being able to sympathize, being able to be empathic, and just sense other people's energy, sense other people's pain, and you could start experiencing that here as well. But it could also just talk about you having big plans, big horizons, but they're all hidden right now because there will be something major, something powerful that you are going to be working on behind the scenes, and you will be given a year to do so, over a year even, because it's gonna go into Pisces, and then again it's gonna go into Aries. Something magical you're going to prepare behind the scenes, dear Taurus. I think it's going to be amazing, and you'll be very proud of it. And of course, spirituality, it's going to be a very important step in your life. If you're not spiritual or religious right now, your views most likely are going to change. But I hope you found this forecast helpful. Now moving on to Gemini. Hi Gemini. So happy early birthday. I do have 5 events to talk to you about, and the first one is actually a combination of 2 events. It is starting to happen on May 1st, and then it's also happening on May 3rd. Jupiter conjuncting Venus, right, in your 10th house, and then sextiling Pluto in the 8th. That one is happening on the 3rd. So 10th house and 8th house. There seems to be a blessing, there seems to be a very lucky opportunity, maybe even a financial opportunity that comes at your job, possibly, that comes somehow, it is surrounding your reputation, and it's improving your reputation, it's making it better in some way. And it is allowing you an opportunity to receive more of something that you don't have to quite work hard for. 8th house, you know, this is other people's money. It could also just be simply you gaining more clients, you know, even though, like, yes, it's other people's money, I do a lot of times see 8th house as your clients' money, right? So if you are working with clients, there could be a major opportunity to boost that somehow, boost more financial opportunities coming through clients. Now keep in mind that sextile is a softer aspect, it's not a trine. You're still gonna have to do a lot of things on your own, but it is supportive, it's helping you. So Pluto, sextile to Pluto, a lot of times can mean that it's just an opportunity to gain control, right? So you could easily gain control here over your financial security, and it all comes from your job or what you do in the world. Maybe a very lucky acquaintance, maybe a raise, maybe a promotion, maybe just some kind of a sponsorship opportunity, business opportunity, collaboration with someone, right? It could be endless, really, what it can be here, but it's nice. It's influencing your financial house somehow on May 3rd. The second event that I would like to talk to you about is the lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 6th house, squaring Saturn in your 9th house on May 16th. So this one is completing a certain project, potentially a certain work project, or a very difficult path in your work environment. You know, the last 6 months could have felt like hell when it comes to just your daily life, when it comes to trying to keep up with the routine, with the craziness of life. It could be that maybe your health was taking a toll, or I should say this whole craziness was taking a toll on your health. There could be just a lot that needed from you, that was required from you, and now it's finally ending. However, Saturn here in the 9th house is reminding you how difficult this whole path was, right? How difficult the last 6 months potentially have been. And I will say that, you know, Saturn in the 9th house, generally, it does kind of stabilizes your beliefs. It's whatever you start believing in, whatever you decide to go with, it stabilizes that, you know, it grounds you with those beliefs, or I should say grounds those beliefs in you. But here, because things have been challenging and they're finally ending, they're finally completing, you could have sometimes maybe doubted that if it was the right path for you, was the right job for you, was the right, I don't know, treatment that you were doing for your health, right, the right routine for you. Well, something here is about to come to fruition, something here is about to complete, and life will become easier after this, okay? However, I do have to say that with a square of Saturn, or to Saturn, I don't think that Saturn is going to do something brutal on the day of the eclipse or just around the eclipse. I think it's just going to remind you how difficult this was. And this was barely even for you. You feel like it was for someone else. You feel like these last few months of hard work were just to satisfy someone else, right? Your colleagues, your managers, whatever. But it wasn't quite for you. But now finally this is ending. You know, also 6th house a lot of times can indicate kind of like this unpleasant, toxic group of people that you might be working with. It could honestly even be you possibly leaving the job, you know, especially if it's very toxic. And Saturn in the 9th, while it's squaring the eclipse, it's also telling you that, hey, there will be a new door, there will be a new horizon, a new path. Just believe in it and keep moving forward, right? So that's what I have to say. Now Mercury is going to go retrograde in your sign, guys, and then it's gonna go retrograde in the sign of Taurus. So it goes retrograde on May 10th, and your 1st and 12th houses are going to be involved. And here I feel you could do a lot of digging, a lot of self-communication, kind of just digging within yourself and trying to understand yourself on the mental and even emotional level, honestly, even though Mercury is not quite emotional, but it then goes into the 12th house, into Taurus, and that's where you can get emotional while trying to analyze certain things about your past, certain things about your traumas, certain things about yourself that were hidden from you for a little while. 12th house is tricky, but when Mercury is there, first of all, you can have restless sleep. Good thing it's not gonna last long, but it is restless sleep because your mind is always active, your mind is always working even when you're trying to sleep. But it could also be digging deep and trying to figure out why are certain things the way they are, like what is going on here. So you could do a lot of digging, but I think it's going to be actually beneficial for you. Now, the fourth event that I would like to talk about is a new moon in your first house. You are also the stars of the show for sure, on 30th of May. And here I would say that you are going to, after doing all the digging, or during doing all the digging, you will create a new path for yourself that you will start working towards probably for the next 6 months. It's something exciting, it benefits you. And only you, it's for you, it's maybe for the closest people to you, but it is, it's something that you need. It's not something that other people are asking of you. It's almost like selfish in a way. I need this. And you will start working towards it. It could be maybe creating a new routine for yourself. It could be somehow doing something kind to yourself. It could just be allowing you to drop everything you're doing, or maybe even to shine bright, right? To try something new, something that you have never done before. New moon, even though it's in the first house, it does oppose your 7th house. So maybe there could be a situation that happens between you and another person. They could ask you out. You could be really in their spotlight. Like you could notice that all eyes are on you. And not just from that person, but from other people. You could feel kind of popular. You could feel like you belong, right? And also, Sun is gonna be in your first house in May. So you will definitely feel like you belong with the people you have, or maybe you belong in that relationship that's developing. You feel like you're in the spotlight. You feel like you're on stage in some way. You feel like you're liked by people and they want to have you close. Now, it's up to you whether or not you want to have them close, right? But I think that this new moon can be very beneficial just for you selfishly. And you can obviously create a new project as well that is going to come to fruition probably 6 months from now. But I hope you enjoyed this reading, dear Gemini. Now I'm moving on to Cancer. Hi, Cancer. So here's your forecast for May, and we have 5 events to talk about. So the first one is kind of 2 events in one. I combined them. Jupiter conjuncting Venus in your 9th house, and both of them sextiling Pluto in your 7th house. This will be exact on 3rd of May. So 9th and 7th houses, there seems to be almost like a negotiation that comes to successful resolution. 9th house does rule different documents and legal cases, administrative work, and just overall 9th house talks about broadening something, right? So there could be a broadening of your personal relationships. There could be a new person coming in, and keep in mind sextile is an opportunity aspect, right? So you have to do the work, but Pluto allows you to take control over your partnerships, to take control over your contracts, your negotiations. 9th house kind of spreads the blessings that can affect your negotiations, that can affect your contracts. So if you're afraid that, well, this may not go well, I'm afraid that they're not going to approve this application, well, it does seem like it could be approved. It seems like There are blessings coming in this area in the beginning of May. If you were wondering whether or not you can travel, I think you could travel here as well. And ninth house is also about seeing the future overall, and seventh house, other people. So you could finally start seeing the outline, you know, the bigger picture of the future with someone else, starting the beginning of May, and I believe that that could be very exciting for you. Now, the second event that I would like to talk about is a lunar eclipse in your 5th house in Scorpio that is making a square to Saturn in Aquarius in your 8th house on May 16th. 5th and 8th houses. So I feel like something is ending here when it comes to... I hate to say when it comes to fun, something's ending. No, it's like a certain project that you've been working on for the last 6 months, possibly, it's coming to fruition. It's time for it to go on stage, to be pushed on stage. You know, it's time for it to be shown to others. It's time for it to shine somehow, or it's time to simply close it down. For everybody, it's going to be different. However, with Saturn squaring this eclipse, it's been a challenging road. It hasn't really been very fun, if you ask me. You know, I think that it's been maybe a difficult journey. It's like you almost forgot what it's like to have fun. You almost forgot what it's like to just enjoy something. You know, you've been always under pressure. You've been facing obstacles, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's been difficult. But something here is ending. You know, if it was a difficult business project, it's ending. Somehow it's being re-evaluated, readjusted in a way that it will no longer bother you. You'll no longer have to bother with it. And that is good, you know, but at the same time, there seems to be this... energy of stress still surrounding this project. It seems difficult with Saturn, but 5th house also rules children and pregnancy. So you could, for those who, you know, who are interested in this kind of stuff, lunar eclipse in the 5th house could bring pregnancy. I can say that this is a successful pregnancy or not successful, you know, because of Saturn or whatever. It could mean conception. So actually we had this on lunar eclipse in my 5th house, so I can confirm that it does bring children. But also with the square to Saturn, it's like that reaction is like, oh, I don't know what to do about this, right? It's been like maybe a challenging journey to get pregnant, right? To conceive overall. Maybe it is just a challenging journey for you overall, financially, possibly, since 8th house is a financial house. Maybe your partner has been struggling with finances, but you will know something regarding pregnancy, children. You will know finally around the time of the eclipse. Another thing that can happen here is intimacy issues. Intimacy, like an intimate relationship that you have with someone, and there seems to be almost like a blockage to either open up to the person, to get out of this intimacy into something else, into something deeper. Maybe their relationship isn't deep enough, isn't intimate enough. All those questions can come up around lunar eclipse. Considering it's in Scorpio, Scorpio wants to dig deeper into these issues, you know, it wants to really close the page, and, you know, it's a lunar eclipse after all. Saturn wants it done right. So I feel like maybe a conversation can come up with someone that you are close with in terms of what to do next, and you will find a solution, because lunar eclipse is going to complete something that no longer serves you. Now, the third event that I would like to talk about is Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Gemini, and is going to retrograde into Taurus as well. So we're gonna have 12th house and 11th house action here starting May 10th. So here, you know, I feel like you could be working on something behind the scenes. It might be kind of a new-ish project that you're starting out. However, there is something missing here. So you may have to go back to the community, or you may have to recalculate something. You may have to reanalyze, reevaluate something, some kind of a project that you may be working on behind the scenes, so that way you can come back to it and fix it and do it right this time. 11th house is usually having to connect with a friend, having to connect with a community, having to maybe like go through your salary, your contracts, right, that the job gives you. Like, there is the energy of having to look at something again, because you cannot proceed with something that you're working on kind of in private, in secret, until you have all the facts. So that could be it, right? And also maybe you may think that you have lost a connection with someone, an acquaintance, a friend, but that communication can come up somehow. A friend from, a forgotten friend, a friend that somehow disappeared can reappear. That could also be the case here. Now, the fourth event is new moon happening on the 30th of May in Gemini in your 12th house. And I believe this is when you are really starting to work on something behind the scenes. It could be connected to foreign places, like faraway countries. It could be connected to spiritual beliefs and overall some spiritual work. It could be connected to just something in secret, maybe something slightly illegal, but we're not going to discuss that in this video. But it is just something that you're starting, and you will be working on it probably for the next 6 months, and then once 6 months are up, you will show it to the world. It will shine, it will be on stage, everybody is going to be looking at it, and it's going to be a fun time. So yeah, I would say that's basically the theme of this new moon here. And the last event, I left this one for dessert, Jupiter going into Aries on May 10th. It's going to be in Aries until late October, and it is going to be in your 10th house. That's a very powerful transit for you guys. It is going to be in your public image sector. This is when it can really expand your connections. This is when it can expand your... And keep in mind that, Jupiter is a nice one in Aries because it likes to be in fire signs. So this one can bring you a boost in your potential overall. It can push you to show yourself, to go to all these interviews, to try for a job that you've never done before. It's gonna get you out of your comfort zone, but it's gonna give you so much hope and optimism, and it really will help. It'll increase clientele. It will increase just overall, it will boost your self esteem and your public image, and you will look more appealing to the employers, for example, or to clients. And overall, I think that whatever you're working on in terms of status, it can really help with that as well. So go for it, dear Cancer. You will have plenty of time to succeed in your highest point in the chart, right? You'll be seen here for sure, and it will be your time to shine. And if you can't work, for example, there will be something that you do in the world that will be memorable, either for your closest community, for your friends and family, or for your town, for example. There's definitely something here that you can do that will benefit not just you but others. But yeah, I hope you found this helpful, guys. And now we're moving on to Leo. Hi, Leo. So we've got 5 events to discuss here. In the first one, I combined 2 events in one. It is Jupiter conjuncting Venus in your 8th house, and they are going to be sextiling Pluto in your 6th house on May 3rd. So 8th and 6th houses here. Pretty interesting houses, honestly. I feel like you're going to start feeling a little bit more control over your health, mental especially, emotional, spiritual health. There seems to be a difficult... Guys, honestly, you are one of those signs, and Aquarius too, you're one of those signs that have been struggling like the most since Saturn went into Aquarius, and also, you know, Uranus has been in Taurus, and now the nodes are also squaring you, you know, being in Taurus and Scorpio. So you, Leo, almost have a hard time catching a breath. In the last few months, in the last few years, even 2021 may have been difficult. My moon is in Leo, so I've been feeling it all, you know, as well. But 8th house and 6th house, you know, they're both kind of health, mental health, physical health, emotional health. I feel like Jupiter and Venus can bring blessings here in the 8th house, where it can affect your psychological state in a nice, positive way. There may be something like a situation that is critical, situation that is painful, alarming, and it's crisis. It can somehow get better. It can improve. Venus and Jupiter here want to bring blessings, and sextiling Pluto, giving opportunity and allowing you to have a little bit more power over your overall health. So you know how stress takes a toll on our health. Obviously everybody knows that, but this is where it kind of seems like a solution. Sextile is a aspect of opportunity, right? So it's not going to solve everything for you, but you can use it to your advantage. I highly recommend using it to your advantage, maybe going to a psychologist, psychiatrist, you know, maybe a spiritual healer, someone that can really help you here. Or maybe it's just going to be, like I said, one of those things that can resolve, and it will improve your health and your emotional and mental being overall. So that's a good one. Beginning of May is a good one. Now, May 16th, the second event, that is lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 4th house, squaring Saturn in your 7th house. Whew, okay, so this one is an interesting one. I mean, here we've got a little bit of tension happening in your private life and your personal relationships and yourself. There seems to be this miscommunication or digging too much, but digging in wrong things, either from you, your family members, or just overall people in your close circle. Everybody seems to want the truth, everybody has their own truth, and it's really hard to connect with each other. It's really hard to find compromise. Well, good news is that, you know, this is a lunar eclipse. Finally something is ending here, and it's ending through bumps and obstacles, and everybody's like injured going through this, but finally they find their way out. Finally they find the way out of this rough situation, right? And especially when it's in the 4th house, it's kind of painful, you know, because it's your family is involved, like your heart is involved, your soul is involved, and you're so ready to get this done. You're so ready to complete this cycle, this potentially toxic cycle. And Saturn in the 7th just reminds you that it's been difficult, but you made it. You know, I don't think that it's going to be ruthless to you around the lunar eclipse. I think it's just a theme of how difficult this journey has been for the last 6 months or so, you know, maybe even longer for some. Could be finally you selling the property, finally finding the best deal, finally finding, I don't know, a property that you want to purchase, right? Like the deal is done, it's the deal is closed. Something here connected to property, something here connected to family or just your loved ones. You know, there is a situation that has been needing to complete, and finally it's completing, and it's a heavy one. It's finally going to be done. So that is good news, right? Now, the third event that I would like to talk about is Mercury going retrograde from Gemini into Taurus on May 10th, and 11th house and 10th houses are going to be involved here. So there seems to be a result that you will be getting with Mercury in Gemini, but then once it starts going retrograde and once it goes into Taurus, into your 10th house, you'll realize that this isn't quite the result that you would like. So you're gonna want to try and adjust it, reevaluate it somehow, maybe do a little bit more work, maybe talk to more people, maybe talk to your boss, maybe adjust your rates somehow, try and tweak something there, because you want a better result. So when Mercury does go direct and it goes into your 11th house, into Gemini again, you can be successful, or not successful, but you can be satisfied with the results, right? So it's like you're, for example, you're getting your bonus that you've been promised, but it's not the same number that they've promised you, or maybe it's just not enough. But there's something here that you may have to go back into the 10th house, you know, the house of work, house of higher ups, you know, something there you will have to discuss and adjust and maybe do some paperwork so that the result is right this time. That is the theme, I believe, at least in my opinion, of your Mercury retrograde in May. Now, the fourth event is new moon in Gemini in your 11th house on the 30th of May, and this one is going to give you seemingly a new community that you're going to be very interested in, that you're going to maybe consider trying out. You know, this could be maybe a new club, a new environment overall, like a new class, new group where basically people gather together and do something, you know, like a gym, for example, a forum if it's online, a Facebook group, right? So it is something like that here that you find appealing, that is also adding kind of like more interactions, more connections, and you seem to be enjoying it. It seems to be useful for you, and I believe that this community could be around for the next 6 months even. I definitely don't remember the word that I wanted to use. It's like the only word, not one of the only words, that makes a lot of sense here, and probably when I'm editing this I will think of the right word and I'm gonna put it on the screen. That's what you're going to be doing for the next 6 months. So the last event, the one that I left for dessert, is Jupiter going into Aries on May 10th to your 9th house. And let me tell you, you know, Jupiter likes to be in fire signs, so it will love to be in the sign, in the fellow fire sign. It will be trining you. It's wonderful. So the 9th house, that is hope for the future, that is optimism in the future for you, Leo, specifically. This is an amazing one because yes, it will finally give you the opportunities to maybe complete that damn legal case that has been dragging for a very long time, right? That financial deal, that immigration paperwork, like just legal cases overall, right? Your education maybe will finally either complete or gain speed, right? It's going to be developing fast. It's not going to be dragging slowly but surely, you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It actually will start, it will be on fire, whatever this is. And also your religious views are going to change with Jupiter transit. Jupiter will be in Aries until late October of 2022, then I'll go back into Pisces, then I will again go back into Aries, and you will definitely be trying on different beliefs, different belief systems, and you will choose the one that aligns with you, that resonates with you the most, and it will stick with you for at least probably the next 12 years. So I'm very excited for you, Leos, because I feel like this is your light at the end of the tunnel, and it's very exciting. But now I'm going to move on to Virgo. Hi Virgo, this is your May reading, and I do have 5 events to talk with you about. The first one, I combined 2 events in one, so I'm just gonna be saying it's May 3rd, right? But it's also May 1st combined. It's kind of like a combination that's going to be prominent in the first few days of May. Let's just put it that way. Jupiter will conjunct Venus in your 7th house, and it will make a sextile to Pluto in your 5th house. There seems to be hope, blessing in some way, some kind of optimism being regained through negotiations, through contracts, through some kind of deals, potentially financial or maybe even personal, right? Some agreements between you and someone else that can lead to control over the nice, the fun side of your life. It's like something here can finally create a fuller picture, give you an outline of the future. You're able to see the future more clearly, more optimistically. And it can help you gain control over the areas of life that you haven't quite been able to use as like pleasant, you know what I mean? Maybe you've been working too much, you haven't really had an opportunity to have fun, to do something nice with your friends or with your loved ones, or maybe do something nice for yourself. Maybe, you know, you've been wanting more free time so you can start your own business. Whatever that might be, you felt lack there. But now with sextile to Pluto in the 5th house and this beautiful conjunction between Jupiter and Venus, I believe that you will have some sort of blessing and a very subtle push to go and enjoy life again in some way. And it's a sextile, so keep in mind a lot of work will be done on your end, but it is a sign of it is an aspect of opportunity. So use the opportunity when it's given to you, use the blessing that is given to you, treat it as a blessing, so that way you can kind of live your life in a fun way again. Sounds depressing, but Pluto in the 5th house can be very interesting, right? Now the second event that I would like to talk about is lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 3rd house, squaring Saturn in the 6th house. This is happening on May 16th for you. So what can I say here? 3rd house and 6th house. So something is ending finally when it comes to documents. Maybe you've been expecting a very important document. You've been maybe expecting for the last 6 months. It's been a struggle to get it. It's been a struggle to somehow maybe create free time, right? Change your routine to be able to obtain something here. Saturn in the 6th house gives you the craziest routine ever. It's like almost like you're in the military, you know, you are constantly, you have the same schedule and it's very strict, and one step left, one step right, you're done, you know. It's like lots of responsibilities at work, hard work, not always paying off very well, difficulties with health, right? Some of you could be experiencing health issues. But with lunar eclipse in the 3rd, it's like this routine, this tough schedule, this craziness that Saturn has been adding to your routine, to your work structure. It helped you structure something in a way that you can now receive almost like a result for. With the 3rd house, you know, this could be a skill that you may be able to develop by the lunar eclipse. Because of the tough schedule that it, you know, put on you. It's like you had to have that structure. You had to earn that skill through the difficult structure. Maybe it could be a document, right? And 6th house does rule documents, running around getting documents and stuff like that. So finally you're able to obtain maybe a certain document. Maybe you're able to finally take a course, and it could be because you're so caught up with the work environment, 6th house, right, and Saturn, that you're like, oh my god, I want to do something new, or I want to you know, kind of boost my qualification, if that makes sense. Like I want to maybe try the same field, but at the same time maybe like a different position, and I need a certificate for that, right? I need to adjust something for that. So with lunar eclipse, that opportunity is given, or finally you're completing that study, that document, right? Something here is finally coming to you. But it's been a bumpy road, and Saturn will remind you of that. Now, the 3rd event that I would like to talk about is Mercury going retrograde. On 10th of May, it's going to retrograde from Gemini to Taurus, all in 1 month, from 10th house to your 9th house. So there seems to be something here in your career, right, at your work, that you've been misunderstanding possibly, and it takes you back to almost like going through documents to be able to perfect it somehow, to be able to adjust something, maybe fix a mistake, so that when you are presented again, or you're presented to, so maybe when you present yourself again to the world, to your job, to the authorities. Everything is aligned perfectly there, if that makes sense. So there may be some documentation that you may need to readjust. Maybe communication with other people, like for example authorities, or someone in the legal field, someone that can give you advice, right? Someone that kind of knows more. You may have to ask around, you may have to communicate, you may have to go through paperwork, find some mistakes, fix some mistakes, so that way what is given to you, like the status change or your reputation or a career opportunity, is perfect for you. It's aligned for you. Everybody, or I should say nobody's having any kind of miscommunication, right? Like that's important here. So that, I believe, what Mercury retrograde is going to be about for you. Now, the fourth event is new moon in Gemini in your 10th house on 30th of May. That's a big one for you because it is in your 10th house. So here, I believe there is a new goal in your career, on your career path, and you will want it, you will dream about it, you will get it. And most likely, this isn't an overnight goal. This is something that may have to be worked on for the next 6 months or so, but you'll be just fine doing it. You know you need it. You know that it's important for you, for your status. You know it's important for your work, for your future. And you are going for it. There could be some opportunity that comes around, you know, through your job or maybe for your job. And you will be working on it for the next 6 months, most likely. And then the beautiful result will come from it in the next 6 months. Or I should say by the end of the next 6 months. And now the dessert that are left. It is Jupiter going into Aries on May 10th, and it's going to stay in Aries until late October 2022. So we're going to talk about that chunk of time, because then it'll go into Pisces, then it'll go back into Aries, but it is happening in your 8th house, so that's a very exciting situation. 8th house is finances. It's a financial house, you know, so Jupiter here, Jupiter loving to be in fire signs, I think this is good here. I think it's going to really show you the value of like the value that you should have over your finances, and how just overall how you treat your money, how you and your partner treat your financial standing, how you spend money, what is the most valuable to you. And it's going to show you the right way. It's going to show you the true way, and you'll be able to really use it to your advantage. It could also be that your partner can experience an increase in their financial standing, but it gives you excitement for yourself. You know, it also gives you boost. If you're working with clients, that can also be a boost in that area. For example, more clients will be coming your way. You will feel, or you will be seen very appealing kind of to others, you know, and they will want to give you their money. So crisis, whatever you have going on in your life that may be difficult, that may be considered a crisis, I think that Jupiter being here can really heal you, can heal a certain difficult situation in your life. If you have some sexual traumas, psychological traumas, it can help heal that. And also overall, you know, this is about spirituality as well. You know, your spiritual health. 8th house is a pretty mystical spiritual house, and Jupiter, of course, is a very spiritual planet. So I believe that you can finally, not finally, but you can really stick with a certain belief, and that belief can last for the next 12 years. That belief can really, and it's not necessarily, oh, I believe in God, or I believe in this, or like universe, you know, it's more like these are the practices that I'm doing to better myself, to help my psychological, my, you know, my mental, my emotional health. This is what works for me. Reiki, yoga, you know, crystals, like stuff like that goes under the 8th house stuff. So it's not necessarily a religion that you might develop, it's more like a practice that you may develop that is going to be incredibly beneficial for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Libra. Hi Libra. So let's talk about May, and I have 5 events to talk to you about. The first one is it's 2 events in one. Let's just say it's May 3rd. However, I think this is an event that will be happening throughout the beginning of May overall. So it's Jupiter conjuncting Venus in your 6th house and making a sextile to Pluto in your 4th house. There's a blessing that comes from Jupiter and Venus from the 6th house. There could be literally healing, an improvement of your health situations. Basically something regarding, I'm not gonna say that this is going to be this godly, amazing healing that will heal your whole body and everything else. No, I think we need more for that to be able to completely heal someone, but it can improve a health issue. It can treat it in some way, right? It can help it. It can definitely give you more support. And making a sextile to Pluto in the 4th, you can feel more at peace with yourself, with your soul. You can maybe feel a little bit more control. And also, I don't know if anything here like work, for example, was affecting your family life, health was affecting your family life. There may be that issue that gets resolved, between you, your family members, or whoever waits for you to come from work, right, at home, those people, there may be something that comes to you either through work or through a health situation that will be positive, that can also positively influence your home life somehow, your private life, your soul. If it is connected to property, finally here the document that you've been needing is going to be found, somehow accepted, approved, whatever that may be, right? That will also help you sell the property, buy the property, refinance the property, if the 4th house in this case is property to you. So I think that's a very nice time here for you in the beginning of May. Now the second event is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 2nd house, squaring Saturn in the 5th house. And it's happening on the May 16th. So 2nd house, well, something here is completing in terms of how you make your money. And for example, if you've owned a business for a little while, Saturn in the 5th made it a little challenging to run that business. It could be that maybe you didn't have enough clients, or maybe just financially it was difficult. It was no longer something that you loved doing. It was no longer maybe something that you were passionate about. It was really hard to express your wants, your desires connected to it. There was something limiting the business. It was either maybe, again, that's if it's a business, right? So you could kind of close down that idea around this lunar eclipse. You could maybe just say, I no longer want to do things this way in my business. I no longer want to accept payments through this. I no longer want to accept payments at all. I don't know. There seems to be this ending when it comes to how you make your money. And yes, it could be through something like a business of your own, your child, but it's your business. If you don't have any businesses or anything like that, there seems to be something here that is ending for you. It's almost like you're reevaluating your self-esteem and how you treat yourself and how you view yourself, because you want to live a more happy, more, I guess, fun life here with the 5th house. But Saturn made it challenging for you in the last few months to make your life fun, to enjoy simple things in life, because maybe you had to always stress about finances. Maybe you simply couldn't afford a certain life, right? But now it's ending. So I think that it's a positive one, even though it is in a square to Saturn. I don't think Saturn wants to be ruthless around this eclipse. I think Saturn is just an indication that this has been a difficult journey. You know, one step forward, two steps back. So I think that a source of income could end, but a new one will begin. It could be that maybe, you know, you will evaluate how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem. You will no longer be aligning with something that you've been doing, because you're going to choose you. You're going to choose a better, happier, healthier life somehow. So if you've been, let's say, overworking yourself, you know, this eclipse could really point at, hey, just stop, you know, just quit. I mean, I don't know, but for everybody it's going to be different, obviously. Now the third event is Mercury going retrograde in May. It's gonna start happening on the 10th of May. It's gonna go from Gemini into Taurus, so from 9th house into 8th house. There seems to be this goal that you may have for the future, and it's nice, and you've been talking about it, or you will be talking about it, I should say. Maybe it is a travel plan, maybe it is a documentation that you're gathering. Maybe it's just overall like you seeing certain horizons in front of you, you are imagining the future, you're trying to figure out how to make it all work, but there is something missing, and you have to go back into the 8th house to kind of organize it, to get more paperwork, to get more signatures, to figure things out, to talk to a bank, to talk to a broker, you know what I mean? Like you have to kind of annoying things, but you may have to do. Because once you actually complete them, once you talk to that bank person, once you get this paper, once you pay something off possibly, then these plans that you have, right, these goals that you're seeing for your future, they make more sense. They are more realistic. They're more achievable. So that, I believe, is going to be the theme of your Mercury retrograde. Now, the fourth event that I would like to talk about is a new moon in Gemini in your 9th house on May 30th. And this one is a nice one for you, you know, it makes a trine to you, and I believe that for the next 6 months, you will start working on, again, that goal that Mercury brings you to. It could be you gathering documents for a trip, you know, like immigration, for maybe a certain case, for college, for any kind of education that gives a diploma. There could be you either preparing to go for it, or you actually going for it starting very late May. And it can give you really good results in the next 6 months. And I think it's just overall a new step. It could be that you may discover a spiritual practice or a belief that will really strongly resonate with you, and you will be possibly studying this belief for the next 6 months. And I think it's going to be something that benefits you quite a lot, dear Libra. And the last event, you know, something that is like a left for dessert, it's Jupiter going into Aries on May 10th. It's going to be in Aries until October, late October 2022. Then it'll go back to Pisces, then it'll go back to Aries, but we're talking about this chunk of time right now. And it's going to be in your 7th house, so that's a very powerful one for you. Whew, well, I mean, I think I've said it in the last video. I do, my son is Libra rising, but he is a toddler. He's a little bit over 1. I think that, you know, even though he's so small, it's kind of like silly of me probably to even bring him up into this, but you know, this is the time for him to start interacting with other toddlers, to be around more kids, and to just socialize. And for you guys, you know, this could be the time to form a new relationship, to form a new business, professional relationship, to form a new romantic relationship. You'll be really seen by other people, by potential partners. You will look interesting to them. You will look like you've got a lot to offer, and you will have a lot to offer. And you will also overall just expand your social circle around this time. I believe it can be very exciting. Also, if you've been trying to immigrate, if you've been trying to maybe complete a certain negotiation or a legal case, or start one even, that could also be a really good time for you, dear Libra. But I hope that you found this helpful, and now I'm moving on to Scorpio. Hi Scorpio, so you guys are kind of the stars of the show as well in May. Let's start with the first out of 5 events. So the first one, I combined 2 together, and I'll say this, it's May 3rd, right? But I will say that you can feel it kind of throughout the whole beginning of May. And this is Jupiter and Venus conjunction in your 5th house, making a sextile to Pluto in your 3rd house. So there is a blessing that comes potentially if you've been wanting to have children. That's your blessing here. It could happen. Okay, conception could happen. Can't promise anything in terms of whether it's successful or not successful, you know what I mean, but it can happen. And it's influencing Pluto in your 3rd. It's somehow giving you more things to do in your surroundings, like in your surrounding circumstances, if that makes sense. It's like maybe you're going to go to a, I don't know, oh god, that's a stretch right now, because I know not everybody wants to get pregnant, but like a breastfeeding class, you know what I mean, like those classes, you may start actually learning more about babies, about pregnancy. That's a new mom talking, you know what I mean. You know, someone just recently gave birth or whatever within like a year or so, when they're talking a lot about like motherhood. That's me. But also, you know, 5th house is a business as well, so there is maybe some blessing coming to open up your business, to start something that you love, like a hobby, but at the same time you can monetize on that hobby. And you know, with Pluto in the 3rd, sextile to Pluto, it's like it's giving you an opportunity to also maybe learn something new, you know, just add new skill to this project, whether it's a hobby or not. But it's like you can use the opportunity to learn new skills so that you can apply them to this child of yours that can be a business, right, or some kind of a creative project. Overall, it's a very nice, warm time for you here in the beginning of May. Now, the second event that I would like to talk to you about is a lunar eclipse happening in your sign in the 1st house. It's squaring Saturn in your 4th house on 16th of May. So guys, here something is ending when it comes to your views, when it comes to maybe the way you used to behave around certain environments, certain connections. Maybe a certain contract is finally coming to fruition, a negotiation may be coming to fruition, maybe a big situation may finally be ending that's been very bumpy for you, like a bumpy road, you know. Saturn in the 4th, I don't think it's going to be very ruthless around the lunar eclipse. I think it's just an indication that, hey, the last 6 months at least, if not, you know, years for some people, have been very challenging, and I made them challenging for you, you know, because I wanted you to restructure something here. It could be that your personality has been restructuring overall. You've been becoming a different person, a better version of yourself. And Saturn, from sitting in the 4th house, you know, from that most private, deepest, most vulnerable part of your chart, it's like making this harsh aspect, you know, like grow up, or, you know, be tough, or be more structured, do not be in your head, right? Like you need to get things done. And it may have been difficult, you know. It could also just simply have brought a toxic relationship, or just a difficult relationship with people that you live with, like your family members, your own family if you have one. But it could have been that. And I feel like, honestly, through conflict, through stress, through even potential toxicity between you and other people, very close people to you, people that you love, people that you trust, people that you cannot live without, and if it's been challenging, you know, I feel like the conflict could finally resolve here around this lunar eclipse. Or if the conflict does not resolve now, I believe that it will resolve as long as the nodes are still in Scorpio and Taurus. I think that until 2023, you have that time to resolve a major family conflict if you have one going on. But I think this lunar eclipse is going to be very powerful for you. It's going to show you a lesson, but at the same time, it's going to reward you for all the hard work and all the stress maybe that you've encountered in the last few months. The third event that I would like to talk about is Mercury retrograde, of course, in Gemini through Taurus. Starting May 10th, it's going to go from your 8th house into your 7th house. Here, there may be this contract, I don't know, price, something that you think is ready to go, like a final price, final offer, but then you find a mistake in there. So you have to go and reevaluate that with another person, or like a business partnership, or maybe even personal relationship. It's like there may be something with your resources and your partner's resources that has a mistake. So you have to go and talk about it. You have to go and fix it somehow. You're not on the same page. If it is, you know, financial situation, if it's like a contract, if it's, I don't know, mortgage or something here, there may be some mistakes here in the paperwork. So you may have to go back and talk about it and discuss the offer again, and maybe sign something else, or back out of signing something else even, you know, that could be the case here. But this is, I believe, the theme of this Mercury retrograde for you guys. Now, the fourth event is new moon in Gemini in your 8th house on 30th of May, and this one can bring an opportunity to somehow benefit through other people's finances. It could be a loan, it could be a mortgage, right? It could just be maybe a boost of clientele, like you will have more clients that you have now. But you will be working through that diligently for the next 6 months. It's not something overnight. It is something that you have in your mind, right, Gemini, and you are getting ready to work on that for the next 6 months. And I do believe it is something beneficial for you, something that can even add new skills. But if it's just strictly financial, I believe that there is something that you're going to be preparing for, like to buy a home, to get a loan, to pay off a loan. Maybe it will take you 6 months to pay something off. There is a sharp mental plan here that you will be working on, and I think that it will be successful for you. And finally, the fifth event is Jupiter going into Aries on May 10th, and it is going to be in Aries until end of October 2022. Then it'll go back into Pisces, and then it'll go back into Aries, but it will be situated in your 6th house for now. So that is a new routine, a new health routine, a new work routine. There seems to be this boost of energy that you may have with the Jupiter in the 6th. It's like, I'm able to get so many things done. I have more energy, I have better health, you know, I can heal you, can treat you in some way if you're having some health issues. Jupiter likes being in Aries, Jupiter likes being in fire signs overall. So I believe this is a good one anyway, right? Now, what it can expand though is, let's say you're working in a group of people that are kind of toxic, can expand, you know, different rumors that are going on at work and different conflicts that are going on at work, and it can make people more annoying in your circle, unfortunately, like work circle. But overall, you know, this is expanding your routine generally. It's making it more beneficial for you, for your health, for your mental and emotional, physical health. It is also allowing you to get more work. Like if you need more work, if you need, for example, a part-time job, second job, a job that overall pays well, that is satisfying for your schedule, Jupiter will help you achieve that. So I hope that you guys found this helpful, and now we're moving on to Sagittarius. Hi Sagittarius. So for you guys, I have 5 events to talk with you about, and the first one, I combined 2 dates, combined 2 aspects into one. Let's say it's May 3rd. However, it's gonna start a little bit earlier, and just overall, I would consider the beginning of May being very prominent in this aspect. So it's Jupiter conjuncting Venus in your 4th house, and it's sextiling Pluto in your 2nd house. So 4th and 2nd houses are going to be prominent here. So I believe that there could be some benefit, some blessing that comes from your property. For example, you have a room in the house that you want to rent out to someone, you're gonna be able to do that, and it's like it's an opportunity. You know, sextile is not like, oh yeah, I'll do it all for you. It's like, no, you do it yourself, but I'll make it easier for you. So maybe a nice roommate is going to show up. I've been, you know, I've creeped me out. I watched that Worst Roommate Ever, I think it's called, on Netflix, and I could not sleep for a couple nights afterwards. You know, just thinking about it, like roommates, oh gosh. But you know what I mean, just if you need like to rent out a room, or if you need to do something with a property that can benefit you financially, that will be the aspect for you in the beginning of May. On the other hand, something beneficial like a blessing can come from your family that will help you somehow, will help. Maybe the family is sending you money, maybe they're just helping you financially somehow, but it feels good. You feel more control over your finances overall, you feel control over your stability. It starts feeling good. So yeah, I think it's also very important for you because it's in the 4th house. Now, the second event that I would like to talk to you about is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in the 12th house, making a square to Saturn in Aquarius in your 3rd house. It's happening on May 16th, so 12th and 3rd houses. There's a hidden project behind the scenes, something that you've been working on possibly for the last 6 months. It's finally coming to fruition here, finally coming to completion. It's time for you to go on stage. It's time for you to show this project to the world. It's time for you to maybe travel far away. But Saturn in the 3rd has made it such hell for you recently. You know, it's like, I don't think that Saturn is going to be crazy and ruthless around the date of the eclipse. I think it's just, with that square, I think it's just showing that it's made the path to this resolution very tough. You know, it could have been so many bumps in the road. For example, you've been needing to run around, get certain paperwork. Maybe it was just never enough, right? Maybe you were restless throughout the whole time. It was really hard for you to relax. But there is something here in that 12th house that is ending or coming to fruition in a way where maybe it's time to show this project to the world that you've been hiding, or just not hiding, but just you didn't want to share with anybody. Or maybe, you know, it is information that is finally coming up that was hidden from you, and it is connected to maybe your siblings, your neighborhood. It is connected, like, it's, you know, this information finally gives you the answers that you've been needing. So it's important, you know, it's a lunar eclipse after all. It's not like, oh yeah, you know, my neighbor just got divorced, like, who cares about that? I mean, I don't. You know, it's not that kind of news. It's like important, something around your neighborhood, maybe something something that's been kind of hidden. There could be a document that may come through, and it was really difficult to get it in the last I want to say 6 months or so. So now you have an opportunity to get it. And I believe also the 12th house is it's like enough to sit around. Go travel now, you're able to. So I think that maybe the doors, like the horizons, could open for you literally in terms of travel. And I think it could be a very exciting time for you. But Saturn made it difficult to achieve, you know, that that acceptance into those places that you need to go. Or maybe it made it very difficult for you to complete something, to make it come to fruition. Maybe you've tried in the past, but it never was successful because it still seemingly remained hidden. Well, now it's going to be out in the open. So I think that's actually exciting news. Now, the third event that I would like to talk about is Mercury going retrograde. It starts on May 10th. It's going to retrograde from Gemini into Taurus, so your 7th house into your 6th house. So there seems to be a deal, some kind of negotiation, maybe verbal, maybe it is on paper. It could be an offer, like a job offer that you may have on the table. But there may be something that still needs to be adjusted. It's like it's not quite perfect yet. There seems to be maybe more work that needs to be done. The rates need to be adjusted somehow. Maybe there needs to be, you having to go through the paperwork, making sure there are no mistakes. If there are mistakes, finding them, fixing them. Maybe working with co-workers on a certain problem, maybe with management. And yeah, I feel like that's your Mercury retrograde. Just having those final letters, final negotiations, final offers, but realizing that they're still not quite final. There's still something that needs to be adjusted there. Could be annoying, but Mercury retrograde is never really pleasant. Sometimes it kind of goes unnoticed, but in this case, I believe because it starts in Gemini and Mercury rules Gemini, I think that it's going to be a little bit more prominent when it comes to miscommunication, mistakes in paperwork, and so on. The fourth event that I would like to talk about is new moon in Gemini in your 7th house that happens on 30th of May, and I believe that you could actually find a new acquaintance. Meet a new acquaintance around this time, and it could be someone that can be very important in your life for the next 6 months. Honestly, anything that happens, new moon, full moon that happen on the 1st and 7th house axis, they're usually very important. They can bring anything into your life realistically. It can be childbirth, it can be a new relationship, it could be a proposal, it can be so many things. It could be like buying a home, selling a home, getting approved for something. So many things could really change here, and I believe that you will have the whole 6 months for it to really come to the perfect result, whatever that might be in your life. But I think it could be like a new acquaintance, someone that is communicative, someone that is smart, and they can really help you create a certain strategy in your work environment potentially. And finally, the 5th event, Jupiter is going into Aries, into your 5th house. That starts May 10th, and Jupiter will be in Aries until the end of October 2022. That's the first round. Then it'll go back into Pisces, then it'll go back into Aries. So this chunk of time, it's going to be in your 5th for now, and that's such a nice time if you've been wanting to conceive, right? If kids are something important to you, and something that you may consider now, this is the time. It does not mean that it may not happen any other time. I mean, it's just a very beneficial time, having Jupiter in the 5th house. Also, this could be maybe start of a new venture, like a business venture, maybe turning hobby into business, maybe even just overall a life in your child's, your child's life can be changing, drastically in a very positive way, and you're the witness of that, and you're able to kind of be there and, support the child in all their new endeavors. And also, if you don't have children, if you don't have any businesses, if you don't have anything creative, I do believe that Jupiter will make you very creative with, being in the 5th house. I think it will give you new goals, it will give you excitement, it will relieve you of certain stress so that you can live your life more fun, so you can allow yourself to find time to give yourself time to enjoy your time with friends, maybe go on dates, your romance, your love life could receive a boost. Just overall live a pleasant life and not stress out so much. So I think that it's a beautiful time for you guys, and you will definitely experience it in 2022 and in 2023. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Capricorn. Hi Capricorn. So we have 5 events to talk about for May, and the first one I combined 2 events in one. Let's just say it's May 3rd. However, I believe that this energy is going to be prominent for overall the beginning of May. It is Jupiter conjuncting Venus in your 3rd house and sextiling Pluto in your 1st house. So there seems to be a blessing coming from the 3rd house. It could be maybe a document, a very well desired, strongly desired document that you could not move forward without, that may be coming, and it's affecting you in a way where you start feeling more control over your life generally. It could be that you feel more control over your future, more control over your relationships, more control overall. Yes, 3rd house is also your surroundings. Like something can happen in your immediate surrounding that's very positive for you, and trust me, 3rd house is so much more than what we are used to thinking. It's literally when you open the door, you come out, that's your 3rd house. Everything outside is the 3rd house. Things can happen close to your home, in your town, different kinds of things, you know, that can still fall under the category of the 3rd house. So I think that it could be just a blessing overall coming to you from your town, from your immediate environment, maybe from a course that you've studied, a skill that you've learned, that can be very beneficial to experience that control, that power again, to feel right about your life, about your future steps, and it's amazing. The beginning of the month is great. Now, the second event that I would like to talk about is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 11th house, and it is squaring Saturn in your 2nd house on May 16th. So 11th house and 2nd house. Well, so there seems to be a situation finally ending, resulting in some kind of rewards. It could be 6 months of hard work, it could be maybe longer than 6 months, but you are achieving a certain result. But you realize that with Saturn in the 2nd, with the square, that it's been a very difficult, very bumpy journey. It was 1 step forward, 2 steps back, even though you are ruled by Saturn, so you're used to its energies. But when it's in your 2nd house, you know, when it's in the house of income, it seems to be very hard sometimes to maintain the certain financial standing or to just feel stable overall, even though while Saturn's energy is stabilizing, it also does bring obstacles into our life. And I feel like you're finally receiving that result, that reward for your effort, for all the hard work. The negative thing with this eclipse is that yes, finally something is ending, you're able to receive the result, but it may not quite be maybe the result that you would prefer 100%. It's still good and it's ending finally. You don't have to worry about it anymore, but there may be that sense of could be better, you know, because Saturn is also there. There seems to be maybe, for example, a bonus that you are receiving, but it's not quite enough, like salary that you're receiving, and it's still not quite satisfying, right? You feel like maybe you deserve more, but I think it's going to be not a bad one, you know. Honestly, I think it's just under the energies of Saturn, you know, the squares to the nodes, the square to the nodes, and the proof how difficult it's been to gain that reward, how difficult it's been to gain any kind of result that is satisfying. So I think that is the theme of the eclipse. Now, the third event that I would like to talk about is Mercury going retrograde in Gemini. It's gonna go into Taurus. So 6th house and 5th house houses are going to be very prominent for you. And retrograde starts on May 10th. So I feel like there is a situation here in the 6th house that maybe a work situation, maybe a certain project that you're starting to work on that is exciting, right? But at the same time, something is missing. So you have to kind of go back and reevaluate what is wrong with it. Maybe there is a paper that is missing. Maybe there is actually, honestly, could be like literally lack of enthusiasm that is missing when it's connected to this a work project. There may also be a health consequence in some way from the 5th house, from the house of hobbies, fun, romance and stuff like that. What I'm trying to say is that there just seems to be something that you have to discuss with someone else, and it may be affecting your work somehow, or it may be affecting your health somehow. It's nothing, it's not a big deal, it's just a Mercury retrograde. But you feel like you need to dig more into what already has happened. It's like, why am I working on this project right now? It doesn't seem right. There seems to be a mistake here. I need to reevaluate it. Like, I need to talk to someone about it. I don't know. But there seems to be a lot of work, a lot of mental work involved, and you are trying to get to the bottom of this so that the project that you are going to be working on is perfect. Because we do have the 4th event, new moon in Gemini in the 6th house on May 30th, and that sets a timeline of like 6 months from now that you will be working on a certain work project or health related situation. So I believe that with the 6th house, you know, yes, let's say your health may be under a radar. Like, you may have to check your health more frequently. You may have to go get treatment. You may have to change a doctor, for example. But it is something beneficial for you. It's new and it's beneficial. Now, if it comes to, for example, work projects that you will be working on for the next 6 months, it will be something that will take a lot of mental work from you, possibly, a lot of communication, a lot of documentation as well. But I do believe that it is going to be successful, whether it's a health situation or a work situation. And also, new moon in Gemini, or I should say new moon in the 6th house, can talk about a new pet. A new pet, usually very young, like a kitten or a puppy, you know what I mean, like a young animal in the 6th house. And last but not least, Jupiter is going into Aries on May 10th. In your 4th house. That's a very powerful event for you guys. It will stay in Aries until late October of 2022. Then I'll go back into Pisces. Then I'll go back into Aries again. But for now, for this chunk of time, yes, it's going to be in your 4th house, and it is going to be affecting your home life. I believe that this could actually bring family together. If you've been apart somehow, if you've been maybe living in different places and not communicating so much, maybe you've had a family conflict, Jupiter in 4th can bring you together. It can allow all the family members to find peace and optimism and just faith in the future overall between each other. Also, Jupiter can bring a new family member, so maybe if it's not you, for example, it can be someone else that, let's say, gives birth, or maybe it could be you starting your own family with Jupiter in the 4th. There is a strong emphasis on home life, private life, your soul, working through your past, property as well. Of course, Jupiter in the 4th can talk about you buying a property, selling a property, refinancing, relocating overall. And maybe if you've been working through an immigration case, this could be receiving your green card or your citizenship, right? Somehow stabilizing where you are, or maybe moving, but it should be a very pleasant, positive transit for you guys, because while it's in the 4th house, it's in a very important house for you, but it's also in Aries, and Jupiter likes being in fire signs, so I think it's going to be a pleasant time. I hope that you enjoyed this reading, and now moving on to Aquarius. Hi Aquarius, so this reading is going to consist of 5 events. The first one is actually a combination of a couple events together, and I do have a date May 3rd, but keep in mind that this can be playing out throughout the whole beginning of the month, not just May 3rd. So it is Jupiter conjuncting Venus in your 2nd house, and they are sextiling Pluto in your 12th house. So 2nd and 12th are prominent here. So there seems to be this financial opportunity that comes around. It seems like a blessing. It seems like this is something that you need to grab right now. This is something that you need to use. It's wonderful because it can bring a good sum of money, honestly, or it can bring a good opportunity to start making money. Even if, let's say, you are retired or you're not interested in working, there can be that opportunity. You just need to see it. You know, maybe it's going to be almost something like pleasant that may not feel like work, but you will be monetizing on it. And with Pluto in the 12th, you know, the sextile to Pluto in the 12th, that could give you maybe something to do. It could give you like a purpose. 12th house is a hidden house, so it's really difficult to say, oh yeah, this could, you know, add enthusiasm to your hidden activities. But I mean, if you don't quite want to be seen yet, but you still want to work and benefit from something and monetize on something, I do believe that this is a good way to do that. And you know, Pluto in the 12th, or I should say in the sextile, with the conjunction, I think maybe it's talking about that spiritual blessing that's coming your way, that you are using or should use at least with this sextile. And you start understanding that the higher powers are watching over you and they are blessing you. They know when you struggle, and they know when you could benefit from their help, and they are watching over you. They're, you know, it's kind of like they're always there in difficult situations, and even if you thought that you could not make something work, here's this blessing and you're able to make it work. And maybe you're able to get out of a difficult financial situation potentially. So beginning of May is looking good. Now the second event that I would like to talk to you about is the lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 10th house, in the square to Saturn in the first house, May 16th. So there's something ending in your professional life, right? And there seems to be almost like, from what I'm seeing, all these different things that I'm seeing here, it's almost like Aquarius, especially Aquarius rising, may be considering changing their career completely, or just the field, right? What they do for a living. They seem to maybe want to make money some other way. They maybe want to start something of their own. They want to benefit from something that they like to do, you know, not just something that they're forced to do, or because it makes sense, or because that's what pays the bills, but because it's something that they want to do. And there could be something ending here in your professional environment, and it is squaring Saturn in your first house, meaning that the path to ending it has been very difficult. It could be that you needed to prove your point this whole time, maybe the last 6 months, maybe longer. You needed to prove yourself, you needed to defend yourself, you needed to show your best self, but sometimes it was just simply exhausting. It was very difficult to do. It was something that maybe you felt like was 1 step forward, 2 steps back, like I've said in pretty much every reading. But here something is ending, something is allowing you to gain maybe the status that you need. Something is allowing you to change the job, to end the job, to do something different. It could also be that maybe the management is changing at your job, and things are going to start being different from now on. But I feel like, you know, this is the Aquarius wanting to change something about their professional life, or maybe about their reputation, how they're seen, how they're viewed by the world, how they're seen in their professional environment, or their, you know, their public image, and maybe their status, overall social status. Now, the third event is Mercury going retrograde, of course, and it's going to retrograde from Gemini into Taurus on May 10th, or I should say it's going to start going retrograde on May 10th. But the 5th and the 4th house are going to be involved in May for you. So there seems to be something that you want to go off of by yourself and do, and it's something exciting and amazing and optimistic for you. You're excited to do this new thing. But there is something needs to be reevaluated with either people that you live with, and maybe something needs to be reevaluated connected to your property. For example, you want to start your own business out of your home. but there is something here that you need to do to make sure that you are allowed to do this out of your home. Or for example, you want to go do your own thing, but your family is disagreeing, or you need to discuss it with them somehow, something like that here, you know, or maybe you want to do something with your child, but then again, something connected to your family needs to be like discussed or fixed. That is the energy of Mercury retrograde here. Not really a big deal, you know, just something that maybe has to be discussed, talked about. If you're trying to work from home and you're trying to like build a home office, or if you want to see if you're even allowed to do something from home, you know, there could be some adjustments there, talking to your local you know, authorities and things like that. So that would be the energy that I'm seeing. And the fourth event, new moon in Gemini in your 5th house, starting May 30th, and that energy could last for the next 6 months, and I feel like that is very exciting and very optimistic. If you're expecting, or I should say if you want to get pregnant, yes, this could be the time. In the next 6 months even, you know, not just around the end of May. But also, new moon in Gemini can talk about some kind of a mentally stimulating, fun, creative project that you will start. And it could be your own business, maybe it could be a blog that you may start, a website that you may start, even though it's not the 3rd house, but you know, it's Gemini. So it could be something connected to online jobs that you could start. Maybe you could turn a hobby into a job, and it may not happen overnight, but you will be given 6 months to make it perfect. So I think it's very exciting for you. And the last event, Jupiter going into Aries, into your 3rd house on May 10th. It will stay in Aries until the end of October 2022. Then it will go back into Pisces. Then it will go back into Aries again. But for now, we're talking about this chunk of time in your 3rd house. So I believe that with Jupiter in Aries, very positive placement for Jupiter, I think that you will want to expand your knowledge overall. You will want to expand your skills, and you will be very excited to learn something new, to learn something that you can benefit with, maybe career-wise, right? Something that can give you some kind of a boost. And Jupiter in the 3rd house can be a little bit overwhelming, because you may try to grab this and that and this and that, and you know, this course, and I want to get this certificate and this certificate, or I want to learn this language and I want to learn this language. It's like it can be a lot, and it can give a restless mind. But at the same time, you know, I think that having Jupiter there for a year is so beneficial, because you can learn a lot and you can really advance in your field, in your career, because you're learning so much. Another thing with Jupiter in the 3rd, something can change in your environment, even within your home as well, it can change. And in the lives of your siblings, maybe you will be a direct witness of something happening, but only if you're really, really close with your siblings, I think. But I believe it's more about knowledge, skill, maybe paying off your car, maybe buying a new car, getting a license, getting any kind of certificate or license, doesn't have to be drivers. So very exciting time for you, dear Aquarius. Thank you so much for watching, and now I'm moving on to Pisces. Hi Pisces, finally got to you. So we have 5 events to discuss from May 2022. The first one is a kind of a combination of a couple aspects. I did put a date, May 3rd. However, you may be experiencing this, especially you will be experiencing this throughout the whole beginning of May. And it is Jupiter conjuncting Venus in your 1st house, and they are sextiling Pluto in your 11th house. So there is a blessing coming either to you from other people, or somehow it is an insight that's coming. Honestly, 1st house, this could be anything. It could be coming from anywhere, but it is connected to you and someone else. It could also be, by the way, financial blessing that comes. And you start feeling like you have control over your future. You start feeling like the rewards are what you deserve. You know, these are the rewards that are coming up, and this is what's paying off, and hard work is paying off, and you feel like the universe is smiling at you, and that the higher powers care about you, and they're guiding you, and you know, they're assisting you in some way. And it can also bring you closer with your community, with your friends, with people that you share the same interests with. So I find that to be very important, and overall a very blissful time in the beginning of the month. The second event that I would like to talk about is lunar eclipse in Scorpio, happening in your 9th house in the square to Saturn in Aquarius in your 12th house on May 16th. So here, well, first of all, you know, Scorpio is a fellow water sign, so it does make a trine to you, but overall the eclipse can be a little bit intense. And I think that there is some kind of a legal situation potentially coming to fruition, coming to an end, but you realize how bumpy this road was the whole time. Saturn in the 12th adds fears, and a lot of times they are unnecessary, sometimes they are necessary, and it's like they're actually happening because, yeah, there is something to really fear, you know what I mean? It's not just our subconscious messing with us or our mind messing with us. So yes, there seems to be something coming to completion, but it's almost like you're fearing it. It's something that maybe can add anxiety or sleepless nights. It could also be a trip that you may finally take, but you're afraid to take it. Maybe you're afraid of flying, maybe you're afraid to go into that area, you know, to that country because of different events, right? Or maybe, you know, the virus or something. But it seems to be happening anyway because it's been time. It needs to end, it needs to finish, and this time is now in May. So whether you're scared of it or not, it's finishing up. Okay. And also, of course, you know, since it's a spiritual and religious house, 9th house, lunar eclipse in the 9th house can mean that maybe a certain belief is going to transform. After May, you're going to really see the world, the life, the future differently. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, but it's just life, you know, you believed in one thing and now the circumstances, your subconscious is going to change that view. But something is finally ending here that has been needing to end for a long time for you guys. The third event that I would like to talk about is Mercury going retrograde. It is going to retrograde in the sign of Gemini on May 10th and is going to go retrograde back into Taurus. So 4th house and 3rd house, those are going to be involved for you. So there seems to be something maybe that you are trying to figure out regarding your property. There may be a lot of communication going on regarding your property, but, you know, with the retrograde Mercury, you may have to reevaluate the paperwork for the property. You may have to reevaluate the offers, the documentation to make sure that there are no mistakes in the paperwork. Unfortunately, you know, even though Mercury isn't going to be in Taurus long, but it is going to hit the 3rd house, which is the very traditional Mercury house, and especially Mercury retrograde house. So maybe miscommunication can come up, you know, some mistakes in the paperwork. Please check your paperwork. Yeah, because it can be like mistakes and some silly mistakes too. It's like, I cannot believe I didn't read this and, you know, before. I cannot believe I signed this. So please be mindful of that. The 4th event is new moon in Gemini in your 4th house on May 30th. So there's like a renewal. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for too long. Renewal of something within your family life. It could be a new family member that may come around in the next 6 months. It can be just overall a new home. Maybe you're planning to move in the next 6 months. We are planning to refinance, for example. So maybe this is how it could work out for some people who are already working with the property. Overall, you'll have 6 months to do it, whether it's a new family member entering your family, or maybe there is something changing within your home. Maybe new furniture, maybe you are doing some kind of fixes around the home, right? Whatever that is, I believe it is going to be connected to your home life. And finally, the event that I left for dessert, it is Jupiter going into Aries on May 10th, and it is going to stay in your second house until October, late October 2022. Then it'll go back into Pisces, then again it'll go back into Aries. So while, you know, it is in Jupiter is in your first house right now, no, your life has not drastically changed like crazy, you know, but I believe that Jupiter was able to give at least a little bit of more optimism and hope in your life. Yes, maybe it did not solve all of your problems. Maybe it did not give you this godly blessing and, you know, just completely changed everything. But it did do something that made you feel good, or made you feel a little bit better and more hopeful. And now it's actually going in the house of your finances, and Jupiter likes to be in fire signs, so that is a good placement for Jupiter anyway. Your finances are going to receive a boost with this transit, and it's exciting because, you know, Pisces have been having different issues, and now with Jupiter in Aries, it's like they're not only able to gain that self-confidence, that self-esteem that they've been needing, especially with Saturn in the 12th house. It's been very difficult to just overall navigate life, right? Saturn in the 12th is harsh. But at the same time, Jupiter will teach us new values, will teach us how to love ourselves, also how to manage our money, and it will give us the source of income that we need. It's going to help us, and it can even bless us with a completely new job, something that aligns with us much better, something that is overall just more beneficial for us and our future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.